Welcome in, Commanders fans. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and this is the Commanders Report. On today's show, we got a loaded slate of news and rumors on your Washington Commanders to cover today. Number one, Jahan Dotson confirmed who the QB1 is right now for the Washington Commanders. Big news there. And then also there's a major development on the Chase Young front that we're going to be breaking down here in just a second. And there's another OTA winner that's coming out of Commanders camp right now. A running back is starting to make some waves. Can't wait to break down all these topics with you here today, Commanders fans. But first, if you're a real one and you want to help support the channel in a free and easy way, go ahead and click that thumbs up icon and like today's video. I don't know about you guys, but I am missing football so badly at this point in the year. I just want to see a football game, man. So if you're missing Commanders football, do me a favor, click that thumbs up icon. Really is a nice way to help out the channel. All right, so first up here, let's talk a little bit about Sam Howell, where Jahan Dotson went on the Jim Rome show and straight up confirmed that Sam Howell is the QB1. There is no QB competition going on right now, like Ron Rivera has kind of been alluding to over the last couple of weeks. This is what Dotson had to say exactly. I think we got our QB situation settled. I think Sam Howell's going to be our guy. Now, personally, I think the Commanders' QB situation right now is being slept on by the rest of the NFL media because they look at what the Commanders have. It's like, oh, you got a fifth-round second-year quarterback playing for you, and then you got a journeyman quarterback that's never been a full-time franchise quarterback. You guys are going to stink this year. But let me tell you something, man. I think the Commanders are going to be good either way, whether it's Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett. Because if Sam Howell works out, great. You get your franchise quarterback. I think Sam Howell is going to be doing some things a lot in the run game this year. I think Eric Bieniemy is going to be running a lot more read option with Sam Howell because he's an underrated runner of the football. And because this offensive line is one of the worst run blocking offensive lines in football, at least on paper they are at this point in the offseason, I think Sam Howell, getting him involved in that run game is really going to help them out. But even if he stinks this year, even if Sam Howell's not good, I'm a big-time believer in Jacoby Brissett. I think he's a very capable starter in this league, and with the weapons that you have here in Washington, with Eric Bieniemy calling the shots, and then the defense going to be as good as it's going to be with the revamped defensive line here. Everybody's healthy. You revamp the secondary with Emmanuel Forbes. I think the defense is going to be really good as well. And Jacoby Brissett, if you take a look at the numbers from his season last year in Cleveland, right? Accuracy rating. So that's adjusted completion percentage minus the expected completion percentage. He was 13 points over his expected completion percentage last year, which ranked 4th in the National Football League. Extremely accurate quarterback, Jacoby Brissett is, and he's got underrated arm strength as well. He's actually got a pretty strong arm. Then you got defensive adjusted value over average, which is an advanced analytic that every single NFL team uses in their front office to determine the value of players. He had a 13% rating last year, which was good for 7th in the National Football League. Okay, this is Jacoby Brissett we're talking about here. Then QBR, a lot of people know QB rating. 59.7 was 8th in the National Football League. Very good number as well. PFF's big-time throw percentage, 4.5% of his throws were considered a high degree of difficulty, which was tied for 12th. Certainly not bad there. And then his wins above replacement per game started last year was 0.133. So if he would have started all 17 games for the Cleveland Browns last year, he would have been worth over 2 wins. That is really, really good for somebody like Jacoby Brissett, who's not like a special kind of talent at 14th in the National Football League. So my take on this and the whole QB situation is that I think you give Sam Howell every single chance possible to prove that he is the franchise quarterback of the Washington Commanders. Okay, you put him in there, you see what he can do, maybe get him involved in the run game. And, he's got the talent. He's got the arm strength, right? He's got the moxie. And, definitely you can tell that the players in the locker room respect the hell out of this guy. He deserves every single chance. But if he doesn't work out, it's nice to know that you got a steady plan B there in Jacoby Brissett, just in case Sam doesn't work out. So what do you guys think? Do you believe in Sam Howell? Type yes or type no. Will Sam Howell start every game this year if he is healthy? Let me know down there in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So here's what's going to happen. YouTube's going to throw an ad break your way. Take advantage of that time by answering today's question with a yes or a no. So my answer for this question is I hope so, right? I mean, Sam Howell hasn't exactly put it all together on film as of yet, right? It was just his rookie season last year. He just played in one game against essentially a preseason defense. Like, yes, the Cowboys played all their starters in that season finale, but they played a bunch of basic, like country cover 3, cover 2 coverages, super easy coverages to kind of dissect. So I'm interested to see how Sam Howell comes into this year with all these rotating coverages and defensive coordinators actually trying against him this year. It looks like he's revamped his throwing mechanics. That was a big thing on my list of to-dos for him this offseason. So it's going to be interesting to see what improvements he makes during this offseason going into this year. And I certainly think he has a good enough chance to prove that he is the franchise quarterback here in Washington. Now let's shift to Chase Young, and we've been talking a ton about Chase Young trade rumors here on the show over the last couple of weeks. Now the good news, at least in my opinion, is that a Chase Young trade at this point, according to multiple reports, is unlikely. Now, there's multiple reasons for this. Okay, so Ron Rivera and this coaching staff, they're coming into a year where they're trying to prove their worth to new ownership here in the nation's capital. For me, because you've missed the playoffs the last 2 years, you've had 2 disappointing seasons in a row, you got to make the playoffs this year in a weak NFC. If you don't do so, I think that everybody in this staff is getting fired and they are getting replaced. So you really need all of your players to show up. You really need everybody to be here for you to get yourself to the playoffs. And if Chase Young even has a little bit of a chance to break out this season, it makes more sense to have him on the roster this year than to trade him away for future draft capital, because this coaching staff might not be here in future years. They got to do it this year. And I think having Chase Young in the room is why this trade scenario now is looking very, very unlikely. And Chase Young is probably going to be a Washington Commander next year. And as far as I'm concerned, that is absolutely the way it should be, and I'm really, really excited to see what this Commanders pass rush can do now that it's fully healthy. We've been waiting for this foursome of players to be on the field at the same time for an extended period of time, and what they can do to just screw up the opposing offensive plans, right? Montez Sweat really came on last year as the number 1 edge rusher on this team. Both Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne earned their big contracts that they've got over the last couple of off seasons. Now it's Chase Young's turn. He needs to show up and he has to prove that he was worth that number 2 overall selection in the 2020 NFL draft. If he doesn't do that, and that's certainly possible, because at this point I kind of compare his game to Jadeveon Clowney, where he's not the most refined pass rusher. If he can put together a couple of moves, he's going to be something special this year. But if he doesn't really develop that part in his game, he's just going to be a really good run blocker and just a decent pass rusher. And if that's the case, they're probably going to let him walk in free agency next year. So predict it for me now in the comment section. Who will lead the Commanders this year in sacks? Is it going to be Montez Sweat? Is Daron Payne going to get in there? Jonathan Allen? Or could Chase Young have a breakout season and lead this ferocious pass rush in sacks? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Can't wait to see who is your favorite name on that Commanders defensive line. So to wrap things up here, there's an OTA winner here, and his name is Antonio Gibson. Now, we've been waiting for Gibson to really break out over the last couple of years, right? I mean, it seems like every single season since Gibson was drafted, we were going into the season saying Gibson's going to break out. This is finally going to be the year, and those rumors are once again surfacing with Eric Bieniemy coming to town. And here's the thing with Antonio's game, okay? He's not a very good running back, right? Coming out of Memphis, he was a wide receiver, and he's got some of the worst running vision in the National Football League. Like, he just can't really see holes all that well. You know, he's got some serious flaws in his game as a running back, but as a receiver out of the backfield, he's one of the best in the National Football League. And according to reports, Eric Bieniemy is tailoring a specific running back screen game behind Antonio Gibson, which is something that's very, very exciting. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs use a ton of halfback screens, and they've been very effective at doing just that over Bieniemy's tenure there in Kansas City. So I want to see what EB can do with a dynamic receiving threat out of the backfield like Antonio Gibson. Right now, in the running back room, you got Brian Robinson Moore as your true running back. His vision is so much better than Gibson's. But when it comes to to the receiving part of the game. Antonio Gibson is such a versatile weapon that can be used on third downs. He's going to be your true third down back. And really, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Rodriguez Jr. gets more of the early down work when Brian Robinson is out of the game, just because Gibson just hasn't been all that effective in the run game to this point in his career. But, this is year 3 of him being a running back. It's definitely possible that he could be making that transition, and his vision overall could be improving. So let me know what you guys think about Antonio Gibson and his game down in the comments section. Will Gibson have a breakout season finally in 2023? Type B if you think he's going to have that breakout year, but if you think he's being overblown, yes again, type O down there in the comments.